Hey, what's up guys? Garrett here. Welcome back to another video. And in this one, I want to tell you guys about the books that I'm reading in 2025 as a tech startup founder and the ones that I would recommend that you read as well. Maybe we can have a little book club. And the first one that we're going to be starting off with is called What It Takes by Stephen Schwarzman. Yeah, I said that right. Stephen Schwarzman. Interesting story about this guy. He actually went to the same high school as me and donates a lot of money to that high school. And I remember being at school and our football stadium was called Schwarzman Stadium. And I never really realized who it was until I was actually reading the book. And so I bought the book because I saw it on CNBC on the news. And I started reading it, and he's talking about, he grew up in Philadelphia. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. No one's ever from Philadelphia. That's where I'm from. And then he says, and then we moved out to the suburbs, and it happened to be my suburb. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. No one ever is from my suburb, right? And then he says, yeah, and I went to such and such high school. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, that's the same high school that I went to. And then it hits me that, yes, everything that I knew Schwarzman at this high school was this guy. And it took me maybe more than it should have taken me to realize that. But anyway, it's called What It Takes, and it's basically the story of his life or his professional life and how he kind of has gotten to basically being one of the wealthiest people in the world. He founded Blackstone, which is an alternative investments fund or company. The next one I'm reading is called Competitive Strategy by a guy named Michael Porter. This is a book that actually I believe was referenced in the book that I recommended in my last video called Play Bigger, which talks about category development when you're building a company. This was mentioned there. It is obviously a book on competitive strategy in the business world. Apparently this is used in a lot of college curriculums and MBA programs. So I figured I would love to get that education for $20 or whatever this cost. Links in the description, by the way, if you're interested in any of these books. So all I really know is what this book says on the title: Competitive Strategy, Techniques for Analyzing Industries and Competitors. I don't know, but I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be in the world of business. And so, I think that thinking about strategy is a really interesting thing. It's kind of fulfilling for me in a different way than, working on tech stuff is, which is what I typically do. And so I just kind of figured that I would get the book and try it out. And it's super, super interesting to me. So unfortunately, I can't really tell you much more about it because I don't know much more about it. However, hopefully, as I start to read it and as I learn more about that topic, I can share those insights and share those learnings with all of you in some videos. The next one is What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. This is by Shad Helmstetter. I hope I pronounced that right. Shad Helmstetter. I think he's a PhD. I don't want to say actually. I thought he was a PhD, but it doesn't say doctor on here, so maybe he's not. Okay, yeah, I'm not really sure if he's a PhD or not. I thought he was, but he might not be. But this is actually one that I think I had heard about probably a while back. I was watching some YouTube videos and they mentioned it. And it's all about self-talk, which maybe the title gives away. But it's all about self-talk and how to talk to yourself in a way that doesn't leave you depressed or thinking poorly or negatively about yourself, right? And I think that's super, super important. And it's something that I struggle with as someone who has depression and has anxiety and things like that. And so, any opportunity that I have to better my mindset and better how I look at things and how I respond to different things in the world and in my life, I think is a huge benefit for me personally to enhance my life. And then as well, something that I can potentially help other people with just in daily conversation or loved ones or people that come and go out of my life or whatever it is. I think any chance that you have to better yourself and gain new perspective is also somewhat of a responsibility to maybe pay it forward and share that with the world or with the people around you. So this is a book that I've heard a lot of great things about, and hopefully it kind of lives up to the hype, if you will, and can help me with, kind of the thoughts that happen in here. You know what I mean? So I think that'd be a really good one. This one is called 1 + 1 = 3. It's by a guy named Dave Trott. This is an interesting one. It's all about creativity, how to think creatively, different processes, and how people go about coming up with interesting novel ideas. So I was an advertising major in college. I didn't actually study software engineering or computer science or anything like that, right? I was an advertising major in college, and I took this course one semester called like Creative Thinking, I think it was. And this is one of the books that we were supposed to read in that class, except that I didn't read it. And it's been sitting on my shelf at my parents' house. And I was going looking for some other college textbooks or something like that, I think on like economics, which I couldn't find. However, I found this, and I want to be more creative. I think given the opportunity, anyone would want to be more creative, I think. And so I figured that I would add this to the list. It's decently short. I think it's comprised of like small anecdotal stories about different people and how they, solved a challenge in a more creative way than maybe had previously been done. And so, yeah, hopefully this is like a helpful thing for coming up with ideas for YouTube videos or for startups or coding challenges, like whatever it is. I don't know. I'm kind of hoping this can be like a creative thing for me to help me think a little bit better and kind of think creatively. I don't know. Now, this one is the only tech book I have on the list here. This is Designing Data-Intensive Applications. 2 projects that I'm working on will be data-intensive applications. One is a client that I have. They're building a mobile app that ends up, it's going to have some web apps too. And, data is where it is right now, obviously. Like everything kind of works with data and manipulating it and processing it and storing it and all that and collecting it, all that kind of stuff. So this is probably the most helpful thing that I'll be reading in terms of the actual products that I'm working on. The other one being my startup called Lifer. And so, programming, coding wise, I know the languages that I feel that I need to know. I know the frameworks that I feel that I need to know. But in terms of building systems, I think, not that I can't, but I think, I find it interesting. And I think that there's a lot that I could learn. And this one is specifically all about the big ideas behind reliable, scalable, and maintainable systems. And I think that's probably a weak point of mine is, those 3 things, the reliable, scalable, and maintainable aspect of it, not just like tossing code into a function and like hoping that it works. I think that's relatively easy. So having said all that's like the only tech book that I'm really reading. I think if I do make some tech videos this year, could be related to this kind of stuff, which I find really interesting, but we'll see if I actually get to make videos about that. The other book that I am going to the other book that I want to read this year is another one that I've already started. It's called Ecosystem-Led Growth. It's by a guy, I believe his name is Bob Moore. He's actually one of the most successful startup founders from the Philadelphia area, which is the city that I'm from here in the United States. And I think it was like a New York Times bestseller, actually. So that's another one that I'll be reading. I'd read, I think, maybe like the first part of it. I think it's 3 parts maybe or 2 parts or something like that. And so far, pretty interesting. So that is the other one that I'm going to be reading. I will toss up a thing here, a picture of it somewhere, because it's like a digital copy that I have on the iPad, so I can't show you I wanted to buy the physical copy, and I hit the wrong button on Amazon, and so I don't have it. But so I'll toss that up. So anyway, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.